25 Japanese Restaurant Secrets. Chefs hope you never learn. Look, I've eaten at hundreds of Japanese restaurants over the years, and I kept asking myself the same question every single time. Why does this taste so much better than what I make at home? Same ingredients, same general idea, completely different result. So I went deep. I talked to cooks. I read everything I could find. I tested obsessively in my own kitchen, and what I found genuinely shocked me. Japanese chefs are doing things behind those kitchen doors that most of us would never think to do. And today, I'm counting down all 25 of them, starting from the bottom and working our way up to the absolute most game-changing secret of them all. Stick around, because every single one of these actually works. Let's get into it. Number 25. Blanch your vegetables in salted, oiled water before anything else. Before Japanese chefs even touch a vegetable with a hot pan, they often blanch it briefly in boiling water that has salt and a small splash of oil added to it. The salt seasons from within, and the oil coats each piece so it stays vibrant green and does not turn dull. 30 to 60 seconds is all you need. Then transfer immediately to an ice bath. When you cook the vegetable afterwards, you are just adding flavor, not fighting the vegetable's texture. Your greens will be the brightest you have ever seen. Number 24. Always use cold rice for fried rice. If you have ever tried making fried rice with freshly cooked rice, you know the disaster. Clumps, mush, nothing like the restaurant version. Japanese chefs always use day-old rice that has been refrigerated overnight. The cold and time cause the grains to dry out slightly and firm up, so each grain stays separate and actually fries instead of steams. Spread your leftover rice on a baking sheet before putting it in the refrigerator to dry it even further. When you cook it, the high heat creates that slightly crispy, nutty exterior that makes restaurant fried rice addictive. Number 23. Marinate your protein with a whisper of baking soda. This one sounds strange, but it is one of the most common techniques used across Japanese restaurant kitchens. Take your chicken, beef, or pork, and add a quarter teaspoon of baking soda per pound of meat, along with your other marinade ingredients. Let it sit for 15 to 30 minutes, then rinse it off thoroughly before cooking. The baking soda raises the surface pH, which slows how quickly the proteins bind together when heat hits them. The result is meat that stays incredibly tender and silky rather than turning tough. This is why restaurant chicken tastes like a completely different product. Number 22. Finish with sesame oil at the very end, never during cooking. Japanese chefs almost never cook with sesame oil because the heat destroys its fragrance almost instantly. Instead, they add it as the absolute last step, right before the dish leaves the pan. Just half a teaspoon drizzled over the finished dish releases an incredible aroma that makes everything smell and taste more complex. If you have been adding sesame oil at the beginning of cooking, you have been throwing money and flavor away. Add it at the end. Toss once, plate immediately. Number 21. Coat sliced meat in cornstarch and egg white before cooking. Alongside baking soda, Japanese chefs often coat sliced meat with just the egg white, not the yolk, mixed with a little cornstarch. The mixture forms a thin protective barrier around each piece that keeps moisture locked in during high-heat cooking. Mix your sliced chicken or beef with 1 egg white, a teaspoon of cornstarch, and a pinch of salt, and let it sit for 20 minutes before cooking. This is the 1-2 punch that makes affordable cuts of meat taste like premium restaurant ingredients. Number 20. Master the art of the cornstarch slurry. Every Japanese restaurant sauce has that glossy, thick, clingy quality that home cooking almost never achieves. The secret is a cornstarch slurry added at the end. Mix 1 part cornstarch with 2 parts cold water until completely smooth, and have it ready before you start cooking, because everything happens fast. Add it to your sauce in the last 30 seconds and stir constantly as it thickens. The sauce should coat the back of a spoon and cling to your food, not pool at the bottom of the plate. Start with less than you think you need. You can always add more. Number 19. Bring your protein to room temperature before cooking. Cold meat straight from the refrigerator is one of the biggest home cooking mistakes. When cold protein hits a hot pan, it instantly drops the pan temperature, and the meat steams in its own moisture instead of searing. Japanese chefs pull their proteins out of refrigeration at least 20 to 30 minutes before cooking to let them come closer to room temperature. This keeps the pan temperature stable when the food goes in, so you get beautiful caramelization and slightly charred edges instead of gray steamed meat. Number 18. Season your pan properly and protect that seasoning religiously. A well-seasoned iron or carbon steel pan has layers of polymerized oil built up over years of cooking that create a natural non-stick surface and contribute to that smoky, complex flavor Japanese restaurants are famous for. To season, heat your pan until it smokes. Rub a thin layer of oil over the entire inside. Let it smoke and cool. Then repeat. After cooking, never use soap. Just hot water and a brush. Then dry completely over low heat and wipe with a tiny bit of oil. That coating is liquid gold. Number 17. Use high smoke point oils. Never olive oil. Japanese chefs use vegetable oil, rice bran oil, or peanut oil for high heat cooking, and there is a very specific reason. Olive oil has a relatively low smoke point and starts breaking down at the temperatures Japanese cooking requires, producing bitter compounds that ruin the dish. Rice bran oil in particular has a very high smoke point and a mild neutral flavor, making it ideal for authentic pan frying and stir frying. Keep olive oil for your salad dressings. It has no place in a hot pan doing Japanese cooking. Number 16. Add aromatics to the oil before anything else. When Japanese chefs start a dish, they almost always add their ginger, garlic, and sometimes dried chili to the oil before any other ingredient goes in. This process, done over high heat for just 20 to 30 seconds, transfers the fat-soluble flavor compounds directly into the oil itself. Now every single thing you cook in that flavored oil gets seasoned from the outside in. If you add garlic after the meat, the flavor sits on top. If you add it to the oil first, the flavor becomes the foundation of the entire dish. Number 15. Use sake and mirin instead of any Western substitute. Many people try to substitute white wine or cooking sherry when a Japanese recipe calls for sake or mirin. But the flavor profile is completely different. Sake has a subtle nutty depth that cooks down beautifully into sauces. Mirin adds a gentle sweetness and glossy finish that no other ingredient replicates. Both are inexpensive, widely available, and a single splash of each while the aromatics are cooking creates a depth that transforms a flat pan sauce into something that genuinely tastes like restaurant food. Number 14. Let your pan get screaming hot before adding oil. This is a foundational principle. Japanese chefs follow without exception. The pan must be heated dry over high heat until it just begins to smoke before you add your cooking oil. A hot pan instantly heats the oil to the right temperature, and the food that goes in immediately begins searing rather than absorbing cold oil and turning greasy. You should see the oil shimmer within seconds of hitting the pan. If you add oil to a cold pan, everything you cook will be soft, greasy, and bland. Number 13. Build a flavor base with miso. Miso is one of the most underused ingredients in home cooking of Japanese food. It is deeply savory, umami-packed, slightly funky, and it forms the base of countless dishes beyond miso soup. Whisk a spoonful into a marinade for grilled fish. Stir it into a pan sauce. Blend it with butter and spread it on grilled vegetables. It dissolves partially into whatever it touches, creating an almost indescribable depth that no amount of soy sauce alone can achieve. Find a good white or red miso at any Asian grocery store, and it will change your cooking permanently. Number 12. Use white pepper for restaurant warmth. If you have tasted a Japanese soup or a bowl of chawanmushi and noticed that distinct warming, almost floral heat that seems to come from everywhere at once, that is white pepper. Japanese chefs use white pepper far more than black pepper, and the flavor difference is significant. White pepper creates heat on the back of the throat rather than the front, and it has an earthy, slightly fermented quality that black pepper simply does not have, added at the end of cooking for maximum impact. Number 11. Cut everything to the same size for even cooking. Japanese chefs are obsessive about knife work, and every piece of protein and vegetable in a dish is cut to roughly the same size and shape. This is not just for presentation. In high-heat cooking, if pieces are different sizes, smaller ones burn while larger ones remain raw. Slice your chicken against the grain in thin, uniform pieces. Cut your peppers into strips that match the size of your meat. Julienne your carrots to match the thickness of your scallions. Uniform cuts are the foundation of every restaurant dish. Number 10. Toast your whole spices before grinding them. When Japanese chefs prepare shichimi togarashi blends or other dry rubs for grilled meats and fish, they almost always toast whole spices in a dry pan before grinding them. Heat releases the essential oils inside Sancho peppercorns, dried orange peel, and sesame seeds, dramatically intensifying the aroma and flavor. 2 to 3 minutes in a dry skillet over medium heat until fragrant is all it takes. Then grind them fresh. Pre-ground spice powder from a jar that has been sitting in your pantry for 2 years is a pale shadow of freshly toasted and ground spices. Number 9. Add a tiny pinch of sugar to savory dishes. You might think sugar has no place in a savory Japanese dish, but chefs use it constantly and strategically. A small pinch of white sugar added to a sauce or marinade does not make the dish taste sweet. What it does is round out harsh edges, balance the saltiness of soy sauce, and promote caramelization on the surface of protein during high-heat cooking. The sugar triggers a Maillard reaction on the surface of the food, producing complex flavors and a beautiful, glossy appearance. It is one of the most subtle and most powerful tricks in the Japanese kitchen. Number 8. Steam fish the correct way. Japanese chefs are masters of steamed fish, and the technique they use is completely different from what most people attempt. They never put fish into a cold steamer and bring the water to a boil. Instead, they bring the water to a rolling boil first, then add the fish. This immediate blast of steam cooks the fish faster from the outside in, keeping the center moist and just barely cooked through. They also pour a mixture of hot oil and fresh soy sauce over the fish the moment it comes out of the steamer, creating a sizzling aromatic finish that is genuinely extraordinary. Number 7. Use 2 soy sauces for 2 different jobs. Most kitchens have 1 bottle of soy sauce. Japanese chefs use at least 2 for completely different purposes. Usukuchi, or light soy sauce, is thinner, saltier, and has a cleaner flavor that seasons without staining. It is used for lighter fish and vegetables where you do not want to darken the color. Koikuchi, or dark soy sauce, is richer and used for grilled and braised dishes where deep color and body are the point. Using the wrong one at the wrong moment makes your food either look pale and washed out, or too dark and one note. Use both strategically. Number 6. Deglaze with dashi, not water. When Japanese chefs finish a pan and want to build a sauce, they reach for dashi rather than water almost every time. The difference this makes is profound. Water dilutes flavors, while dashi amplifies them. Even a simple dashi added to a pan sauce brings body, richness, and a layered depth that water could never provide. Keep dashi on hand, either homemade or from good instant granules, and use it wherever a recipe would have you add water to a Japanese sauce. Number 5. Master the velveting technique. Velveting is the single most important pre-cooking technique in Japanese and broader Asian kitchens. Marinate sliced meat in a mixture of egg white, cornstarch, sake, and sometimes a pinch of baking soda. Then briefly cook it in either warm oil or barely simmering water for 45 to 60 seconds before your main cooking. This pre-cooking sets the protein structure at a low temperature so that when it hits the hot pan later, it cannot tighten and toughen further. Water velveting is easier for home cooks and produces incredibly silky results. Number 4. Build umami with multiple layered sources. Restaurant sauces taste complex because Japanese chefs rarely rely on a single umami source. They combine soy sauce with miso, a touch of dashi, dried mushroom soaking liquid, and sometimes a small amount of anchovy paste, all in the same dish. Each ingredient contributes different glutamate and nucleotide compounds that multiply against each other rather than just adding up. Start thinking about umami sources as layers to combine rather than single seasonings to choose between, and your sauce complexity will leap to an entirely different level. Number 3. Prepare your mise en place before the heat goes on. Japanese cooking happens at such extreme speed that there is literally no time to chop a vegetable or measure a sauce once the cooking begins. Professional Japanese chefs have every ingredient, every sauce, every aromatic, every protein prepped, measured, and arranged within arm's reach before they ever turn on the flame. Spend 20 minutes prepping before you start cooking, and your results will be dramatically better because you will not be scrambling and burning things while trying to find the sake bottle. Number 2. Rest braised meats in their own cooking liquid as they cool. This is a technique used extensively in Japanese buta no kakuni and other long braised dishes. Japanese chefs rarely serve braised meats immediately after cooking. Instead, they let the meat cool slowly in the braising liquid itself. As the temperature drops, the meat relaxes and actually reabsorbs the flavorful liquid through osmosis, becoming more tender and more deeply seasoned throughout. The difference between meat pulled immediately from the pot versus meat rested in the liquid for an hour or more is remarkable. More flavor, more tenderness, more depth. Number 1. The master technique. Japanese chefs never talk about control your salt timing in stages, not all at once. Every single other technique on this list matters, but this one ties them all together, and it is the most overlooked principle in Japanese cooking. Japanese chefs add salt in stages throughout the cooking process, not at the end or the beginning only. A little salt in the marinade seasons the protein from within. A small amount added to blanching water seasons vegetables before they ever hit the pan. The soy sauce and miso added during cooking continue building saltiness layer by layer. And a final taste and tiny adjustment right before plating ensures perfect balance. This staged approach means every component of the dish is seasoned at its own ideal moment, creating flavor that is completely integrated and impossible to achieve by dumping salt in all at once. Japanese chefs understand that seasoning is not an ingredient. It is a process. And once you understand that, every single other trick on this list snaps into place, and your cooking changes permanently. Start with just 3 or 4 of these on your next dinner and see what happens. And if you have been thinking about that one Japanese dish you have never been able to nail at home, let me know in the comments and I will tell you exactly which of these 25 tricks will fix it. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of deep dive content, because we are just getting started.